So, Street Talk this week. I hear bad things about this week's Coronation Street. The general vibe on the internet, as far as I can tell, is that nobody really liked this week's Coronation Street. I didn't think it was too bad. I mean,
show us your rings.
There were bits that weren't so great, but I think I liked it more than last week. I think there's a new story there that feels like it could be interesting, and it's giving some characters a bit of time in the spotlight who haven't had necessarily time in the spotlight for a while. I'm feeling okay about this week's Coronation Street. It's no 5, but well, let's see whether I can still claim that as we go through it, or whether I'll just be reminded that it wasn't so hot. We're going to start off with the continuation of the Malice in Wonderland story. They actually did get married, and that kind of smoothly moved into the Tincognito story with Daniel and Nikki. So I'm going to crackle those all together. Then we have got the Todd Squad as a new story, and the Todd Squad are Billy, Mary, and Sean, who are on a mission this week to track down Todd Grimshaw, who's been disappeared for 3 years. But now
living in the woods with Paddy McGuinness.
Well, it appears that he's making contact at the beginning of this week, but then we are
I'm
told
confused. Did
otherwise.
You watch it again?
Yes, and I think what we thought happened actually happened. So we'll find out when we get there. We had a little bit of Never the Twins Shall Meet, and actually she didn't get to meet them, which is a bit sad.
Aww.
And we had a bit more of the Vanessa Messenger storyline.
An engine fell on.
An engine fell on her shoulder, yes. And then there was a tiny bit of the house fighting story as well. Gemma, don't laugh.
Dear.
Accidents in the workplace.
Oh, so
serious.
they have to fill out a form now.
They've got to fill out so many forms. She was lone working as well. You're not allowed to do that.
Aren't you?
I don't know whether you're allowed to.
I don't know what the laws about garages are.
It's not recommended.
Do you know what? I'm surprised they even let a woman in there. This is going to show them, isn't it?
Yeah. That's
She's
probably what they'll say.
If I had you're too girly to be able...
This would have never happened to a man.
No, man would just push it right off. Did you think about that, or did you just lie there waiting for help like a typical woman?
Right. Malice in Wonderland / Tincognito. Monday. Kirk, who wasn't in Friday's episode for whatever reason, shows up at Maria's and says, it's because Gary's gone AWOL. That's why I've been
Why is he concerned with this?
Concerned with what?
Surely Gary is responsible for himself.
Well, is he kind of the best man? I don't
know
really
whether
sure.
he's the best man or
he's
not.
He's the brother of the bride, and he says, I've been looking for Gary.
Have you looked in Sarah's house?
The
cliffhanger
at the end of last week was David finding it very orcs what he'd walked in on, which was Gary telling Sarah that he still loved her, or Sarah telling Gary that he still loved her, or something like that. And David is still a bit confused about what's going on.
We had a conversation last week about which point
he overhear?
Did David walk in on this conversation, because there were various things that they discussed, and it turned out that all he walked in on was them both looking emotional.
Well, no,
which is awkward enough when the person that is there is your sister and the other one is somebody who's getting married to your best friend.
No, I think it appeared that he'd heard enough about that. So. Well, he does, because he goes and follows Gary outside and says, like, what's going on? Do you still love my sister? And Gary's like, yes, I still love her. There's still a connection. Well, on the one hand, he kind of in the same breath, he says, yeah, I still love her, there's still a connection. And then without, barely pausing, it's like, but it's in the past now. My future's with Maria. So he clearly has feelings
really difficult
for both lovely ladies.
Right, because it feels to me as though we're being given a bit of telling and not showing, right? Where Gary's telling us how he feels about Maria and Sarah, but not showing it. But that's not true, because we've seen this go on and on and on. It just doesn't feel sincere. Do you know what I'm saying?
His lips are moving and he's saying that he loves them both, but...
And he's shown us by like, wincing over them both for a few months now, but
he's been hotly pursuing them for a long time, but I've not just kind of felt any, romance or passion.
And it's not the performances at all. I think they're all doing good performances. I just still don't really... Anyway, sorry, carry on.
Anyway, Maria, meanwhile, is in the bistro, waiting for Gary to show up. She's wondering where he is.
Oh, it was really sad when I saw the chairs and how they were all laid out, all separate. It reminded me of Gav's funeral.
Oh, yes.
Because we all had to sit in separate, even though we came together, and so did your sister and her boyfriend. We still all had to sit separately. It just made me sad. Mm. Anyway, sorry.
Well, Maria's sort of saying, the group, Gary's not turning up. Maybe it's a sign. Maybe we should just have to postpone this. But She didn't have to wait for long anyway. Then we had a really random scene of Shona popping over to number 8 saying, I know all the goss now. David's been telling me everything. Gary's not coming back, you know. He's going off to marry Maria now, so it's fine. And Sarah says, look, I'd be a fool to go back to Gary anyway. I'm just worried about what's happened between me and Adam now. I think we've reached the end of the line. And Shona says, well, get out and make your move on him. Bye! That's me done for the week, says Shona. And then across the country, the audience is left going, is she better now?
She's not better now. She's still... I don't know what to say about this. I don't buy this. Shona is... Oh.
The last time we saw Shona, I can't even remember when it was.
She's struggling
let's
with the
say
fact
4 weeks ago.
She's struggling with the after effects of losing her memory, and she's still unable to connect the appropriate emotions to situations, and so everything is then played with this kind of like brusque cheerfulness.
I think that's right, but I think because we hadn't, as an audience, been reminded that she's still struggling to react in an appropriate manner to things, the way it came across, it just like what's going on there. But and we had been told as well that during lockdown, David and Max and Lily had been shouting up through the window at her. So they've obviously been reconnecting off screen, which is another
which is fine. I don't care. But I don't get so the fact that David's texted her this makes me think that there's been a lot more bridge mending going on between Shona and David than we've just been told.
I mean, he only told us a couple of weeks ago that the whole lockdown thing has put a bit of a brakes on their reconciliation, but it seems I don't think that we're supposed to believe that everything's fine now. I think that they need to stop this. It's just so Shona remembers everything now, because whatever they were hoping to get out of that storyline is not going to manifest itself in a logical way now, I don't think. And I don't think that I'm not really buying this. I think it'd be weird if they did just have her going back to normal. Well, I think there's more to come.
I know that there probably is, but what I'm saying is I think they should knock it on the head now. Maybe that would work to make her remember everything.
Anyway, the wedding starts. Gary shows up.
Blue Merrick's there. She's our favourite
Corrie
wedding officiant.
Yes, it's been a while since we've seen old Blue, but she made a comeback. She said the same odd lines that she always says.
I don't know if she knows that she's in a TV show.
But yes, that was
I am also very concerned for everybody that has been in a scene with her. We check to make sure they're not actually legally married.
So, meanwhile, Adam is getting a phone call from Sarah, so he goes back over to her house to thrash it out, and she's just grovelling away.
I'm trying really hard to care about this.
And he's like, have you told me the truth? Do I know everything now?
Right, okay. She says yes. She's telling the truth, isn't she? Or is she?
No, because she hasn't told him about Callum.
Yeah, but that's nothing to do with it.
Yeah, I've told you everything.
About this
I told you everything about Gary, kind of.
But honestly, though, do you think that it will come out about her and Callum? Because like I said before, about that storyline, it's like 5 years old now, is it?
If it's going to come out,
how is anybody watching this? How do they expect people to care about something that happened 5 years ago?
It feels like it could be a 60th anniversary thing, but
I can't believe that.
a bit too far away.
The thing is, if it was something to do with Pat Phelan, maybe, right? Because he was a massive, massive character.
Well, and that was only
no. Pretend Pat Phelan was 5 years ago. If it was something, honestly, though, I'm going to actually change my mind here. If Eileen was like, do you remember that earring that was dropped on the floor that we never cleared up about?
Oh, yeah.
Right?
In the lawyer's office.
I would still be sitting here going, no one cares anymore, Eileen. Even Pat Phelan, I don't care this much about.
But it's such a big secret. Later. It feels like it needs to come out, doesn't it?
But for what end? They're already broken up. If they get back together and then break up again about Callum, I think I'm going to scream and throw the TV out the window so you can get a new one.
Anyway, Maria and Gary get married.
Awkward. I'm surprised
suitable
David
distance.
was not there going, awkward, because that was really awkward.
Come back to that in a bit. So Adam tells Sarah, get yourself to the police station, love. Go and dob Gary right in it about the whole Rick thing. And she's worried, though, about getting sent down herself.
Right.
And he's like, oh, you're just choosing Gary over me again. You had your chance. It's over. So he slings this hook. David is watching with interest at the wedding reception-y kind of thing as Gary professes his love to Maria.
At a distance.
At a distance, yeah. And then Gary says, oh, the reason that I was late is because I was sorting a surprise honeymoon. I'm going to whisk you away somewhere. Don't worry. Emma's packed your stuff.
No woman would let this happen.
I know.
And also...
Maria's going to get to wherever it is they're going to, open the case, and it'll just be full of her pinkest, fluffiest clothes.
Yeah, like Doobie Boppers.
Yeah.
And then, of course, they both get in separate cars and drive away. Because that was the kind of vibe I was getting off of them.
Yeah, one car says just, and the other car says married on the back. Anyway,
where did they say where they were going?
Oh, probably. I don't remember. I don't know.
Going to Malaga.
Isle of Man. Anyway, that was the end of the episode. We get a few shots of Sarah having a cry through the window as Adam. Yeah, she's losing.
You've lost your hunk.
Wednesday. For some reason, Paul and Eileen are in the factory. Are they in the factory? I can't remember. I think so. Having a bit of a gossip about Gary and Maria. And Alina says, Gemma saw Adam leaving with a bag. What's going there then? Sarah walks in on this and she's mad that she's being gossiped about. So Carla has to take up the counselling mantle and start telling her, it's all right, you're going to be fine, but tell you what, Adam, he's hot. You need to fight for him. A Barlow boy is worth fighting for, she says.
I wish Carla would just go, stop crying. I'm sick of it.
That's what the old Carla would have said.
Oh, I don't see why. I know... I keep coming round and round to this about Carla.
This is when the story kind of turns into the Daniel one, because Adam goes over to Daniel's house, and because he's obviously can't live with Sarah anymore. He seems pretty fine about the fact that he's split up.
Maybe he knew it was a sham of a marriage.
Maybe. He really doesn't seem that heartbroken about it. And he says, look, Daniel, do you want to spend some time, have some time together tomorrow?
Oh, suddenly now you want to spend time with me, Adam. Thank you so much for making me a priority.
No, does Daniel say that he can't? I can't remember.
Daniel's got his own life now.
I'm getting confused about the days. Was he arranging it for today's episode or next week's episode? I don't know. But yeah, Daniel's other life at the moment.
Oh, I spelled Nikki wrong.
I spelled Nikki wrong here.
Okay.
Daniel phones up Nikki, his bit on the side, who he's been still seeing during lockdown. I'm going to report him. She's very hesitant for him to come over and see her this evening. It was like a really close-up view of Nikki, wasn't it?
Going, oh.
Like, I don't know where the hotel room is that they're filming in. Whether it was
in a hotel room or if it was her own
I thought
house.
she was. I thought she was on a bed. But do you know
they have beds outside of hotel rooms now.
The bedroom that they filmed the previous scenes in, I don't know whether that was an on-set bedroom, whether it was an offset bedroom. But if it was an offset bedroom, then they obviously wouldn't be able to use that again. So that's the reason why it was close up to her.
Oh,
because they couldn't use that bedroom. But then I think, why can't they just... I'm sure they can knock up a bedroom on set. But anyway, she seems fairly suspicious, but in the end she relents.
Suspicious.
I am suspicious of her.
Yeah.
She's acting suspiciously.
I get you, yeah.
And she's like, well, I can come over at 5 o'clock tonight for an hour.
I'll come to you.
Great. And I'm going to put the dinner on.
See, this is the thing, right? Because she was like, oh, no, you can't come here, I'll come to you.
Yeah.
Made me think that she was in some kind of trouble.
Yes.
And they'd found out at the hotel what she was up to. Because I don't think they really like this happening at hotels, even though it happens quite a lot. I think if you make too much of an obvious show...
We have a strictly no dressing up as Sinead policy here.
We don't allow these sorts of cardigans in here. I think if you make it a bit too obvious what you're up to, you probably would get slung out.
Maybe. Anyway, Friday's
she was so
episode.
Close to getting a loyalty card filled out.
Sarah comes home to find Adam collecting his stuff, and he refuses to forgive her, and then she changes her mind about defending Gary. And I watched the end of that scene thinking, we've had this. We've been had this a million times.
Answer?
He's saying go and tell the police. She's saying no, I can't tell the police. Or Gary. No.
But what's his answer to her saying I'm not going to incriminate myself? He doesn't seem to have an answer to that, does he?
No, he just says,
Gary didn't mean. Corrie done a murder.
What is she worried that she's going to incriminate herself for
Knowing
keeping
about it.
quiet about the murder, or is she really, really mostly worried that if she goes to the police, then Gary is going to say, yeah, well, she buried a body underneath Gail's annex?
Either way, yeah, good point. But either way, she can't go to police, can she?
She can't. So Adam goes over to Daniel's for a bit. He's then thrown out because Daniel says that he's got an energy survey going later.
What does that mean?
Well, I think it means that Energy is going to see how much Nikki is going to see how much energy Daniel's got.
Give me 100 push-ups. That's what Sinead would have wanted.
Oh, maybe it's just how can he talk for literally an hour straight that he's booked her for about Sinead without taking a breath.
We could do that.
He
says go save your marriage.
Daniel says go and save your marriage to Sarah Lou, but he doesn't. Nikki comes over later. Daniel's cooked her dinner. I can't remember what he got for her in the end.
Fish fingers.
She thinks it's a little bit weird, but she doesn't care. She's being paid for this, so she dons her cardigan. And acts as Sinead. She gives a look like,
what the hell am I doing?
Yeah. Is
I'll
this
tell you
really
what I think
worth
in a minute. Go
all
on,
this money? Anyway, hours up later, she hasn't even had a chance to take a bite of her red velvet cake yet. Daniel's like, don't worry, I'll put it in the freezer. Because if initially he says, I'll pay you double if you stay for longer. She's like,
no, you can't afford it, you weirdo.
Well, she says that she's double booked, but I don't know whether to believe her or not, or whether she just thinks this is totally weird. She also tries to give him one of her mates' numbers, doesn't she? And he's like, no, only
I know someone
you.
who loves cake.
Yeah, all your mates have brown hair. Sorry, you wouldn't do the job. So
he's
anyway,
just like, don't worry, we'll see you later. I'll put your cake in the freezer.
She's like, you're not getting the message, are you, Daniel?
And what's that message?
You're weird.
No, I think she's started to fall for him, and she's upset because she realises that Daniel doesn't care about her or has no interest in her except to pretend that she's Sinead. Because when she put that cardigan on, she looked kind of upset about it. And I think that's why she's trying to fob him off with someone else, because she's developed feelings for him, because she actually said again, like, you can't afford to keep paying me this money, so she's starting to feel guilty.
You told me this before the episode started, and I kind of agreed with you at a point, but then I thought but Daniel has been very clear ever since the beginning. He only wants her to do her Sinead cosplay. If he showed any interest about her as a person at any point, then maybe, but no, she's known that he only wants her for
Michael,
Sinead.
That's such rubbish. You can enter into a relationship thinking that you understand the limitations, but then change your mind and want more out of it at a later date. That's what I think's happened. I don't
know who to feel sadder for then, Daniel or Nikki, who's clinging, if your theory is true, is falling for this person who's clearly got no interest in her.
This is another example of some idiot blonde coming along and falling for Daniel, who is just trying to recreate his dead wife. Because Bethany did the same thing. Like, you don't seem to understand. You came into this with your eyes open, and you can clearly see what's going on here. But obviously, there's just something so alluring about Daniel and his beautiful quiff that all these women can't help but fall for his sad little widow act.
What did you think about the fact that she was coming over his house then? Do you think that she thought, maybe if I come over to your house, when you want me to come as me?
I don't know. I'm not quite sure why she needed to come to his house.
To be honest, she probably could have picked up some good tips. She's like, while the dinner's on, I'm just going to have a look through Sinead's wardrobe to see if I can get a few style tips.
Yeah.
If you've got those videos on your laptop you keep banging on about, I'll go and watch those.
Yeah.
While you're roasting your potatoes. But no,
I don't know what. Yeah, I think
if she was feeling awkward about the situation, which she clearly was, she shouldn't have even gone over.
She's got to earn a living, Michael. 120 quid's 120 quid.
There's plenty of people at the moment that I'm sure would want to be paying for Nikki's company, or maybe they're all just following. What are you talking about?
It's pretty hard to get work now.
I don't know, not the evidence that we saw when we were in Manchester. That road. So what do you reckon? Do you think there was something dodgy going on at this hotel? Assuming that they didn't just have her come over because they couldn't film in the same room as normal.
I think it might have just been we don't have access to the same set. I don't know though.
But she was looking.
Furtive.
She was looking furtive.
Yeah, because
Good word.
I think that she still that was her going, "Oh, I fancy him." I think this has gone too far.
But
I reckon.
if it was,
listen,
I'm not
I
sure.
reckon,
Why didn't she say, "Oh, go on then, come over"?
because they can't film at the set.
She needs to separate business with pleasure.
Yes, and I think she's having trouble doing it. That's my point.
Okay.
If you were in her position, you would be probably you would have very clear divisions in your mind, because as soon as you start to treat people like that as your friend or feel emotions for them, you're going to immediately feel like crap for taking money off them to hang out with you.
Yeah. I am kind of warming to her as a character.
I'm
to
not.
Be honest. I
I've
wasn't.
gone completely off her.
Have you?
Yeah.
Why?
I just suddenly don't like. Well, no, because I said before about
She
if
kind
you.
of seems nice.
But she can't. She's not nice. I said this before because I think another thing is coming to Daniel's house and seeing how he lives in a tiny little flat, a pokey little flat, and thinking this man pays me £120 an hour. Right? If he sees her multiple times in 1 week, he's probably giving her more money than his rent is worth.
Yeah.
And you know he's recently bereaved and he's got a baby, you would start to think to yourself, this is wrong on many different levels.
Well, that's why she, in the end, was saying, look, go. Oh,
No, because she was giving him another number for somebody else.
Yeah,
She's obviously not that bothered.
Well, if somebody else wants to fleece you, that's fine with me.
I don't care.
Yeah, I imagine that when she came over to the flat as well, and she saw how it's still kind of a Sinead shrine, that would have made her feel incredibly awkward about sitting there.
I'm just saying. I understand. I understand. It's just too complicated for me. This relationship feels predatory, and normally I would be uncomfortable with a relationship like this because I would feel as though it was the man who was being predatory to the woman. But in this situation, it's totally the other way around, and to me, it's just as icky.
He's a vulnerable chap, isn't he?
He is.
Needs his mum. Whatever anyone thinks about it, however weird it is or who's at fault or whatever, this is one of the stories that I'm most interested in at the moment, because it's had a bit of a gap, hasn't it? When this story comes on, it's like, oh, great, okay, let's see what's going to happen next. I'm quite invested in this. Whereas when, say, the Gary Maria stuff is like, oh, here it is, this again. Or when it's Adam and Sarah, yeah, we've had this scene a million times before. And although I can't say that this storyline hugely progressed this week, it was still basically her dressing up as Sinead and it being a bit awkward.
She doesn't want to do it anymore.
Yeah, there was that, obviously.
Why do you always say this? Oh, it's not progressed apart from this change that's happened.
No, this is one of the stories that I'm most interested in, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next week.
I just want to point out also that you're saying that the reason that she had a funny look on her face was because she thought that the situation was weird.
Yeah.
I'm going to argue that this is probably one of the least weird things that she does. I bet you there are some really strange things that she
gets some really strange requests. Yeah, you're probably right.
I think this is just more sad than strange.
Tell you what I was surprised about, that nobody saw her entering or leaving Daniel's flat, because I would have thought that they maybe having her come over there would have been a plot device for somebody to have said to Daniel,
yeah, good
who's
point.
that went into your flat?
It was Sinead.
She doesn't really look that much like Sinead at all.
No.
Is it like put on the cardigan and it's like, wow, you've transformed.
Where's Nikki gone?
Yeah. No, I'm surprised they didn't do that, but I suppose we could have on Monday's episode somebody saying that they saw her.
Yeah.
Who was that blonde
Why
that
not?
left last night? I don't know. Anyway, on to the wedding stuff then. So Gemma, give me
my God.
give me your scathing critique of the socially distanced wedding on Monday.
I said, didn't I say something last week about maybe they won't do it because I don't see how they can do it?
I think we were left with a conclusion last podcast that they won't get married. I think both of us agreed this wedding isn't going to go ahead. So I was quite surprised when Blue was like, pronounce your man and wife or whatever, you may now show your rings off to the congregation. That it was like, oh.
Anyway, you
so
asked me what I thought
then.
and then you just interrupted me.
Go.
So I said last week, I don't think this is going to happen, quite apart from anything else, because they couldn't stand next to each other and it would look weird. And Coronation Street went, guess what? We don't care about that. We're going to do it anyway. And they did, and they made absolutely no effort to use any kind of camera trickery or any techniques to try to make it look remotely like they were standing next to each other. And in fact, I would say that looking at it, they both looked like they were standing closer to Blue Merrick than they were to each other. Because apparently the virus cannot travel vertically, only horizontally.
What do you mean vertically? Was she towering over them?
I'm doing it like this. If you could see my hands, you'd see
can travel along
the plane of which I'm speaking.
Can travel along the x-axis, but not the z-axis.
Okay, thank you for clarifying.
No, I thought that when there were scenes of them side by side, I was like, okay, I could kind of imagine that they're next to each other here. When it was just close-ups of their head,
yeah.
But then they zoom out and they show
Why did they do that?
The altar. I'm just using church terminology here. It was like,
no, there was a bit at the very end when they turned around and Sean went, "Show us your rings," and they both kind of waved their did jazz hands with their rings on. I thought they're just going, "Yeah, we don't care. We don't even care about this anymore. Forget it." We tried to think of it, and it's too hard, so we just didn't bother.
The thing is,
I feel so sympathy. Honestly, I feel sympathy because there's no way of doing it.
No, but they could have.
But they did rub it in our faces that they were not standing anywhere near each other. There was really no need for that.
They could have maybe had, one of them lean into the other. Or...
They could have done a fake kiss. They could have done it, but like you said, somebody leans to the camera and then somebody else leans to the camera, and we just assume. I bet you there have been so many times when we've watched a scene that could have been filmed in exactly that way.
I think that mannequin's dummy could just be used for a multitude of purposes during this. I don't know what Equity will think about it.
But... I don't know what to say other than I don't think they even tried.
I don't know. I wonder whether they could ever do something like get one of the actors' partners in. Like, what's Maria's boyfriend called?
No, that's too many
Ice
people on the
McGee.
set. There's too many people on the set, and also they're not actors. Then that's another.
Well, they need to do it. Oh yeah.
Right.
That's why they won't let us on.
But why? Like,
I would kiss.
Listen.
I would risk COVID to kiss Samia if I had.
Don't be disgusting. Listen. Whenever do you get at a wedding that magical moment when the bride and the groom turn to the audience and wave their hands to show their rings off?
There's lots of different ways that people can get married these days.
It was like some kind of ultra-religious marriage where you're only allowed to touch each other when you're actively trying to conceive a child.
Yeah, maybe. That's their denomination.
Maybe they didn't mention that they also both converted to whatever. Yeah. Orthodox version of whatever.
Yeah,
Orthodox Buddhist.
It wasn't the best, was it?
And
it's another case, like we said on the podcast last week, of oh great, they're married. How long will this last? Do I feel anything towards this, or is it just been done for plot?
Don't care about the fact that they're married at all. But I think Ian McClure says something like, "I hope people give us the benefit of the doubt," or something. Be kind and generous, right? I am totally up for that. But don't rub it in my face that they're not anywhere near each other and jazz hands at me. Like you're deliberately going, whoa!
I honestly think that most of the rest of the distancing they're doing is pretty fine.
Yeah, I have no problem with any of the rest of it. It was this that was so outrageously bad that it's like they were trying to bait us on purpose to say something about it. But you're right. Honestly, it's almost like that was a distraction for the viewers for us to go, that's rubbish, they're not even anywhere near each other, so that we would ignore the actual elephant in the room, which is that, why the hell are Gary and Maria getting married, and why should I care? Except to say that it's generating some kind of love triangle drama and ruptions in Sarah and Adam's marriage, which I also don't care about.
If there is some kind of love triangle-y, affair-y thing and Gary can't stay away from Sarah or whatever in the future, could they have done that without them getting married? Couldn't they have just been living in sin and then having a get together?
I don't
Is it
know.
just because they wanted the actors to dress up nice and have some pretty wedding dress for them to be on the front of the soap magazines?
Did they want a socially distanced wedding? Is that what it was for?
I was going back to what I was saying last week.
Socially
I wish
distanced stunts, socially distanced wedding,
socially distance
prostitute.
That's a good one. Engine falling on somebody.
Socially distanced from my telephone while I'm being attacked by a marauding car engine.
Yeah, no, I just think that we didn't. It would have made no difference if there wasn't a way. I suppose with At least with Adam and Sarah's wedding, it wasn't even about them, was it? It was about Daniel getting over Sinead because it was him doing a speech or whatever. At least that wedding felt like, at the time, okay, this is the wedding episode. The focus isn't on the people that I thought it would be, but yeah, this is the wedding. And they just kind of farted it out and it was over in 2 scenes.
It out. And they had last episode where she curled her hair with no product or heat. She did a bloody good job. I tell you what, those ringlets were very convincing.
So, I mean, I think...
But it's a bit bad that the last 2 weddings that we've had on Coronation Street, like, as you just put it so well, they weren't about the wedding. Adam and Sarah's wedding was about Daniel and his grief.
Everybody who is watching Monday's wedding knows full well this isn't going to last.
Gary and
Maria's
Maria's
even like
wedding.
I wonder how long this... It's like...
Gary and Maria's wedding is about Gary murdering Rick.
Yeah. That's so sad.
They need to stop using weddings as a way of upping the ante because it doesn't work anymore because we don't care.
Yeah. I saw some people online saying as well, the fact that the socially distanced element of it made it look weird. Why couldn't they have just put it off? Quite a few people saying they shouldn't have even had them get married. They should just put it off to later in the year or next year or whatever. But I don't really agree.
I think they probably...
They did it because the plot that has already been, dealt a blow and they've already lost a huge number of episodes. They've got to hit it. They've got to get there. If they had decided they were going to get married, they had to do it before December.
They probably have to do it for the 60th. This is part of the 60th anniversary. There's a reason why they're married. I don't know what that is. Like, when they get to the 60th anniversary and Gary goes, oh, I'm just going to marry Sarah. And then Maria goes, you have to divorce me first or something.
I mean...
What? I don't know.
Could it be anything to do with if they're married then when the divorce happens and I get all your money and does Sarah get all of Gary's money that...
Well, the only thing
belongs to Rick, really.
In America, if you're married, you can't be compelled to give evidence against your spouse.
No, it's not like that here, though, is it?
No. Maybe they'll just pretend it is. Maybe Weatherfield is a special judicial area where they have exactly the same laws as whatever's convenient at the time. Actually, I think that's true.
Okay. Well, there you go.
Well, do you know what I mean? No, but are you... Like, in that case, I can see why there might be something interesting to go, oh, maybe in the future this will happen because when you're married, you can't do this.
Maybe. I think actually something to do with the money.
So say what you said again.
I said that maybe they'll split up or divorce or whatever, and then Maria, sorry.
Exactly.
I don't even know. Maria might get a load of Gary's money, which is actually not his money, but it's Rick's money. Maybe. I don't know. I mean, maybe could be interesting. Let's move on to another story after the Daniel one that I was particularly interested in watching this week, the Todd Squad story. This felt nice and fresh and new. Like I said earlier, we got Billy, we got Sean, we got Mary, we've got potentially Eileen. I don't know when Sue's going to be back in the show.
Opportunity to get a bunch of people super mad.
What?
Putting Sean and Mary in a scene together.
I know, and
there are people out there who are like just taking the batteries out of their remote control so they can never turn the television back on again.
I was really looking forward to this story. Today's episode, I was like, oh, this isn't quite working, but I think I'm still going to invest in this. Right. I'm very excited to see how it goes.
When you see a story coming up and you're like, or you think, I hate this, I wish everyone involved in it was dead and I didn't have to watch this anymore.
Yeah.
But you say to yourself, no, I'm kind of getting paid to do this, so I've got to enjoy it, right?
Yeah.
Does that ever work? Because I'm trying with some of these storylines, I'm saying to myself, just enjoy them. Just have a go at it. You can enjoy this.
We've tried
just indulge them with this.
We have sometimes said we're going to give such and such a try, didn't we? Like with Steph,
but
and that worked.
That's different. That's going. I'm going to give it a chance, right? But what my question is, can you actively try to force yourself to like something, or is it always a recipe for disaster?
I don't think I can, but I know some people.
Because I tried really hard this week. I was like, why don't you like this? What is it about this that you don't like?
Did you...
Can you not just let it go and just go, okay, even though I have these objections, I'm just going to sweep them to one side and go, right, I really care about Gary and Maria. Oh, what's going to happen with Adam and Sarah? Oh, how terrible. Oh, no. What... Aren't Sean and Mary funny? Yes, they are very, very funny. I think this is very funny. And it didn't work.
I was kind of half looking forward to the wedding just to see what would happen. And then in the end, I was just like a bit there with it. But were you looking forward to this story or not?
This story?
This Todd story? Because
I didn't...
As I said, it just felt fresh and new and not a continuation of something that's been happening, which has felt what... It's been a while since something, is like turning a page and here's
a
new
new
for us.
Story.
Yeah,
Okay, no, I didn't really think about it like that, but I've obviously missed an opportunity here.
Well, go on. You tell us what happened first.
Right. Although I wasn't in stitches about this, I still didn't think it was that bad, right? Just, that's my disclaimer.
Mm-hmm.
So on Monday, Sean is not impressed by Mary's plans for Twiglet Jenga and a snuggle in her Ben Shepherd blanket.
Hopefully that's the last we've seen of the Ben Shepherd blanket. That didn't particularly work, did it? And it just felt like it took up, 2 or 3 scenes on Friday, Monday's episode, which is too many.
It probably did work for some people.
I know, I'm sure it did for some people. I think...
It didn't really work.
Interestingly, kind of, with that, is Sean doesn't like the idea that Mary just wants another snuggly night in, and he's like, oh, I want some adventure, I want something exciting to happen in my life.
I like going out.
And ta-da, on Wednesday, something exciting happens in his life. But...
I have to say that I really honestly thought it would have been funnier if Sean loved the Ben Shepherd blanket and making Twiglets into Jenga.
Yeah.
Because the joke is, Sean doesn't like Mary's idea of a good night in. But humour comes from the unexpected, and I would have expected Sean to crap all over Mary's ideas. It would have been funnier if he had thought it was brilliant and he had made his own blanket of someone else, like Philip Schofield's face or something. Well, I mean, you laugh.
Yeah,
Maybe that would have been actually funny.
Well, it was only, as I say, it was only a warm-up to Wednesday's action.
That wasn't the point. If you think it's about Ben Shepherd's face on a blanket, you haven't been paying attention. Because on Wednesday, suddenly everything heats up, doesn't it?
Yes.
Mary opens Eileen's post because she promised that she would check for something.
She said I would check for any letters from the bank. And then this envelope comes that's clearly not from the bank because it's got handwriting on the front in capital letters, which means automatically nobody can identify
who wrote this.
Yeah, who could this be?
Right, I think Eileen. This is Eileen's fault. She should do online banking. I thought it'd be hard to sign up, but it isn't, and that's not even an advert. She opens the post, finds a letter written from Todd.
Apparently,
Todd Grimshaw, her ne'er-do-well son who is still living in the woods on the lam because he beat up a policeman.
He's living down by the canal now.
Is he?
We're leaving his bag all around there, isn't he?
I don't know if I've paid attention.
Okay, I might have to help you out with this later.
Right, he wants £1,000. And Mary is very suspicious because she says, why does he want this now? Nobody says anything about where has he been all this time? How come he's writing her a letter now? Oh my God, I can't believe Todd's back. They're going, why does he want £1,000? That wouldn't be my first question about this.
I thought
they're acting as though, I think they're acting as though it's not weird that he's writing to her, but it actually really is. Because he's been out of contact for 3 years. And everything we've heard from Eileen has been, I don't know where Todd is.
Yeah,
so the question is not, why is he asking for money now? The question is, where the hell is he? Why has he been away for 3 years? What's he been up to? The £1,000 is the least interesting bit. Anyway, she says to Sean, we better proceed with extreme caution, but what should we do? So Sean goes and asks Billy. And Billy's like, don't be stupid, go and tell Eileen about it. That would surely be the end of the story in real life. Because Eileen would go, none of your business, I'll sort this out myself. Sean texts Todd. So I guess he's left his number in this letter.
Yeah, I would have thought that maybe the police might... Oh, no, did he?
Did he what?
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, if it's not the same number as he's always had, the same SIM card he's always had, the police might have been able to track him down a bit more easily.
Yeah, this is another question. Why aren't they just going to the police? what's happened to Todd that he's no longer a wanted man?
Yes.
Well, then why aren't they going to the police?
Because they're his mate. They don't want to dump him in it. Just like
none of this came up in the programme.
You admitted earlier you weren't paying attention. I can't say that I was 100%.
Sean texts Todd going, where do you want to meet up? And Todd's like, I want to do a dead drop in Victoria Gardens. And Sean texts back going, you don't even know what that is.
Was Victoria Gardens even in it when you were last in the show?
I don't think it was. Yeah. So Todd's like, yeah, drop it in Victoria Gardens because there's no way anybody who's a former friend and neighbour of mine will spot me. Also, I want to get a Costa.
Yeah, that's the real reason, isn't it?
He's like, I heard they got honeycomb frappuccino.
Yeah.
Oh, what are they called?
No, Frostino. Honeycomb Frostino from Costa. Summer special. Buy one now while you still can.
Don't have the coffee one, though, because it's weird and sticky. Right, so Billy says, oh, isn't it sad that he doesn't want to talk to anyone? He just wants the cash.
Yes.
Oh, I miss him.
He gives a sad look.
Wow. Who used to be my boyfriend. Then they get a bag with fake money in it and they're going to do a stakeout. And as you might imagine, the combined forces of Billy, Mary and Sean doing a stakeout fail miserably. First of all, Mary's just shouting at a man for dropping litter on the floor. Then Sean has to run off to the toilet. Then Mary falls asleep and his way of hiding the fact that he's standing opposite Victoria Gardens is to face the wall so that whoever's there doesn't see him.
You said it would look like he was having a bit of a wee outside
it did look a bit
guard,
like,
didn't it?
Because he goes to Mary, you keep an eye out, Mary, and then he stands at the wall like he's going to do a wee. But yeah, did you have a problem with this?
What?
Well, the fact that they're standing opposite where they're supposed to be staking it out, and Mary's just wearing sunglasses and lounging on the stairs, and Billy's standing with his back to it, and that's supposed to hide their identity.
My problem with this was that it feels like it shouldn't be a comedy story. It should be quite serious. But it was played as a comedy story because you got your straight man in Billy, ironic, and then overwhelmed by both Sean and Mary, who are both very over the top.
Yeah.
And I think that having this, they called him the prodigal son, come back after all this time should be like, oh my gosh, what?
This should be like the sort of thing that happens at the very end of an episode when all this other drama's happened and you think it's over, and then in comes Todd going, where's my money? And everyone goes, oh.
Yeah, so they didn't quite hit it right. And that's when I was looking forward to it, I thought, okay, this is going to be
this is ultimately confusing to me. I have to tell you, this is ultimately confusing because Mary falls asleep. Sean and Billy realise that she hasn't been looking to where she should have been. Then they go over and there's a lady there who is collecting the money. And is she some kind of proxy for Todd? No, she says, I found his bag with his phone in it by the canal.
Yes.
And I went through it, looked at his texts, and I used my brain to think about the fact that there would be money at this drop-off point. No. No, sorry, hang on. Okay, he looks through his phone. I realised exactly what the situation is, so I wrote a letter, and in block print so that nobody would know it wasn't his handwriting. I wrote a letter to his mother, hoping that she wouldn't realise what his handwriting looked like, asking for £1,000 to be left in a place that I know, that you all know, but I don't know, because I'm not from Weatherfield, but don't ask me any questions. And then she just runs away laughing at how gullible everybody is.
It works so nearly, doesn't it?
They're like, oh no, that must be true. So this is really confusing. Then they go back to the Rovers together and go, why would he leave his bag by the canal? Like, that's the biggest mystery of this story. Paul overhears them and says, who are you talking about? And Billy says, no, just one of my parishioners who's always leaving his bag by the canal. Paul goes and Billy says, whatever Todd's doing is probably just looking after number one. And he says, I'm not worried about him and neither should you be.
Oh, lot to unpack here. So,
what a stupid load of rubbish. Who's this woman? Do you believe her stupid story? Because at the moment, this is the state I'm in with Coronation Street, right? Coronation Street, at times, is so poorly planned out that this could actually be part of the real plot of what happens with Todd. Or it could be a flimsy excuse made up by Todd's right-hand woman who has been dispatched to collect the money. I can't tell, because sometimes I'm asked to believe equally improbable things as part of the story.
What she was saying was incredibly improbable, wasn't it? She's
Right.
found his bag, she's looked through his stuff.
Well, she's
somehow
managed to unlock his phone.
Managed to unlock his phone, and I can't believe that as an ex-lawyer and a pretty smart guy, also somebody who's up to all kind of shady business, was supposed to believe that he doesn't have a lock on his phone. But anyway, so she found that. Through his phone as well, is able to find out where his mum lives and just takes a chance on
writing a letter.
If I ask her...
Writing a letter as well, in your own handwriting.
Yeah.
And
she is somehow able to infer that this guy is on the run?
Also, is Todd at all in contact with anybody on the street?
No.
Because if he isn't in contact with anybody, what text messages did she see on his phone that made her think, I can get money out of his mum?
I don't know.
It doesn't make any sense at all.
And she did a runner by the time they were able to ask her any more questions about it.
I think the actress
and they couldn't be bothered to chase after her. You said on Twitter that it was like, that they gave up chasing her pretty quickly, considering how fast Sean had been moving earlier on in the episode when he was, what did he say? My dam's about to burst when he needed the loo. They're like, nah, she's gone.
I don't think it was the character. I think it was the actress who just got embarrassed by the scene and she just ran away. And they thought they'd just film it.
I don't want to believe that Todd needs a proxy. To me, he's kind of a lone wolf.
Yeah. I don't want Todd to have a sidekick.
He doesn't need a sidekick. He doesn't need to rely on anyone. He's smart enough to be able to do it himself.
And she looked like the sort of person who, even though we only saw her briefly, she looked too smart to be Todd's gullible idiot. Because there's no way that Todd would be in cahoots with anybody. If you're Todd's sidekick, he's manipulating you in some manner or another.
But then, 3 years have passed, desperate times,
but
maybe he has to get a sidekick.
But Michael, the thing that gets me as well is, again, the money thing. The amount of money that is involved in this is so ridiculous. There's no way that you would be in desperate need of just £1,000 to jeopardise. We still don't know what the situation is.
No, have you heard of the cost of accommodation in Manchester at the moment? That's
very expensive. You couldn't get very far on £1,000.
No.
That's my point. So, why come out of hiding after 3 years and go, I need your help desperately. Please give me £1,000.
Well,
you might as well ask for 50p.
Maybe
it's
he
not
knew that Eileen didn't have much more. Well, I don't know how much money was she left with after the Phelan thing. Didn't they find...
I don't know.
When did they find that money stashed underneath the sink?
But, and also, what is this actually Todd? Was Todd ever in, So Todd definitely exists in some manner, whether or not this woman was sent by him and her story is wrong, or if he's just leaving his bag by the canal. He's in the area somewhere, and he's either got himself a minion to go and get himself £1,000 off of his mum, or he's just left his bag by the canal with his phone in it. Right, so either way, he's in Manchester / Weatherfield / Salford.
Neither of those things feel like it's Todd, but as I said, if he's in desperate times, maybe he would resort to having a minion.
But listen, imagine if the last time you were seen was when you were trying to run away with a little girl in a car, and then you got out of the car and you had a punch up with a policeman, and then you ran into the woods and you've never been seen since. Why would you be parading up and down Manchester canals with your bag and your phone?
Desperate.
With your real name in it, so that somebody can look up who your mum is. And also, who records addresses in their phone of their mum?
I've got some addresses on my phone. That's what I use to write my Christmas cards each year.
Todd ain't writing Christmas cards to anybody.
I'm sure all will become clear next week. I think the fact that this has generated this discussion kind of means that we're sort of interested in it. But as much as I felt that they flubbed it a bit with the over comedization or whatever the word is of the story, I'm really, really interested to see where this goes.
The thing that bothers me about this is Coronation Street trying to deflect questions about what Todd has been up to and not address it, either to create intrigue in the viewer to find out if these questions are going to be asked, or to totally ignore and sidestep the questions altogether and never answer them, which I'm worried that they're going to do.
I think it's going to come.
By having characters ask such feeble-minded, irrelevant questions of the ongoing situation. Here's a letter from Todd. Why is he asking for this now? No, that's not the question. A woman turns up and is after Todd's money and says that she just found his bag by the canal and she runs away. Why did he leave his bag by the canal? These are not the questions that any sane person would be asking themselves after this situation.
But they wanted to find out more, but she did a runner, didn't she?
Yes, the question is, who was that woman? Not why did he leave his bag by the canal?
Well, as I say, there is more to come on this. I'm interested to see how it goes. I'm also
intrigued
fairly
by this.
intrigued by the Paul angle as well, because Billy is clearly trying to hide from Paul that he's what he's doing, which very clearly flags up that he still has some lingering feelings for Todd, despite protesting otherwise earlier on in the week. He said, well, in this episode, it was like, he's only looking after number one. That's how he always is. He
just because I criticise something doesn't mean I'm not enjoying it. I thought this was very interesting, and I do like Billy, Sean, and Mary together. I don't think it totally worked, but it wasn't terrible. I thought there were some funny bits.
Do you think this could spell the end for Paul and Billy? I'm assuming.
Oh yeah, I forgot they were dating.
I know.
Why did he lie to him then?
I told you, because he doesn't want.
Yeah, I know, but
if he doesn't want his boyfriend to know that he's.
But Billy's
doing
not
anything with his ex.
Yeah, but Billy's. I don't think Billy. I think Billy's too sensible.
I didn't like it.
Do you not think that as soon as you start to think, I should probably lie to my partner about this, you should be going, oh, this is a danger zone. I shouldn't involve myself. I should tell them what's going on and just leave it at that. As soon as you start going, well, I won't tell them about this dramatic situation I had with my ex.
Yeah, I wonder how much Paul knows about Todd. I suppose.
Was he in it after?
Oh yeah.
I don't remember.
He was like 2 years between Todd leaving and Paul coming in at least.
So,
but I mean, I suppose people would say
I can't be bothered to
someone
explain.
might have told him, or Sean's a massive gossip. You can't live with Sean for any amount of time without hearing everybody's life story, can you?
I mean, to be fair, also, we wouldn't have had time for Billy to say, "Oh, that was my ex-boyfriend's secret minion or / robber, and Todd, is actually my boyfriend," but you know what I mean, and then tell us all about how he ran away and he used to be a panto villain with a scar on his face.
I predict that something is going to happen in Paul's and Gemma's birthday party, and it's all going to come out there, and he's going to be having a lovely double act themed birthday party with a PJ and Duncan signs album next week, and then he's going to have the party ruined when he finds out that Billy still harbours lingering feelings for his nefarious ex.
Because for some reason, Sean and Mary have been invited because they are the current hilarious double act on Coronation Street. So it makes sense that they be there. And then Mary just says, out of the blue, in the middle of them playing musical chairs, I wonder what happened to your ex-boyfriend, Billy, that we were just talking about not hours ago.
I don't know how it's going to happen, but that's my prediction. I'm also massively giving this story the benefit of the doubt because I really, really, really want it to work. That is my final word on this week.
Please drop it off in Victoria Gardens, but don't look.
What, if you're Todd or if you're the woman?
If you're anybody with a brain.
Well, that's how their jobs work, isn't it?
I was going to say put it on the red rec, but we're not allowed to do any location shots. And we can't even go out the front and pretend it was Weatherfield General or something that isn't near the street.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good point, actually.
Can you drop it off in Freshco's car park? No. Weatherfield General? No.
You don't want to do it by Weatherfield General because there's a load of characters that are in there at the moment. What if Leanne saw me? What if Seb saw me?
He wouldn't tell anybody because he's not in it anymore.
Right, interesting stuff, I thought, but easy on the comedy, please.
I'm going to say thought-provoking.
Yes. Never the twins shall meet. So, this is the other comedy storyline of the week. Oh, no, wait, it wasn't. That was just unintentional.
Don't be mean about people getting trapped under engine blocks.
Abby has decided, as we know, that she wants to go and say goodbye to the twins before they jet off to Australia at the end of the week. She phones up social services. It's all on. So,
I'll see you at the
Wednesday's
drop-off point,
episode,
Victoria Gardens.
Wednesday's episode starts with Seb and Kevin discussing this meeting that they've got with the Sebelings this afternoon.
It's
with
vitally
Charlie
important
and Lexa.
that Abby turns up.
And Seb's like, don't forget the time of the meeting, Abby. Meeting's on. You better be there. I don't think you're going to turn up. And Abby's like, chill, boy. I'm going to be at the meeting.
I would never
Promise
mess
I'll be
this
there.
up.
Nothing at all could get in the way of me being there to see the twins and saying goodbye to them. Or
It's all I
see ya,
want.
as they say in Australian.
It's my life passion.
This afternoon. So, she tells... She's got some work to do first before she can get on to the airport.
She's got to do some engine work.
She has got to do some engine stuff. Sadly, Kevin is called away for a breakdown. Now, so that
I think it's my
just to
nervous
ensure that
breakdown.
nobody can rescue her from this impending doom that's spelled out oh so clearly, he shuts her in, locks her in, and
Turns the music up.
She turns that music up. She doesn't want anybody to hear her. because
I'll put my phone carefully
she's
over
seconds
here.
away from crying out in pain. Yeah, she puts her phone over there.
Don't need that anymore. Not going to be phoning anybody for any reason.
The scene is set.
When she put her phone down, I went naively, she's going to forget what the time is and not hear her alarm.
Did you?
Little did I think that seconds later we would see a woman nearly crushed to death.
I'm interested because did you know this accident was going to happen? Had
No.
you seen preview pictures? Sadly, I had. It's one of those cases of I kind of got everything I needed to get just from that one picture of her being crushed by an engine that I saw last week. So when all this was, did it feel to you like something bad's going to happen?
No, I just thought, oh, she's going to not hear. She's not going to
okay.
hear the alarm, and because she will be so happy doing her work because we know how much she loves engines. Not anymore.
No. Instead, she accidentally pulled an engine down on top of her left shoulder. And
You
was
would think
pinned to the floor.
This would be one of the things that you just wouldn't do. Like, but she's not the first person to be trapped underneath a car even in that garage. I think they need to put more health and safety posters up.
Kevin's been trapped under a car in there at one point.
Loads
I
of
think
people
loads
have.
of people have. Yeah. And
She's lucky it was just an engine.
she's lucky she didn't buy it like Harry Hewitt.
Yeah.
Anyway, Seb, meanwhile, has bought 2 of Dev's cheapest chocolate bars. He can't even splash out for Cadbury's for the twins.
Right.
I mean, they're going to go into the other side of the world. You'd have thought that you'd get more than just a couple of bars of Kenners to keep them busy on there. How many hours is it to get to Australia?
82.
82-hour journey on the slow train, trained plane
Slow train to Australia.
They're going down that Trans-Siberian Railway.
Oh, nice one. So I think that this is just to indicate that Seb is a lad of humble means.
Yes. So he's got them their chocolate bars, and he's like, "Where's Abby?"
I can't believe she's missed this when I specifically told her not to.
I told her, I knew it. And Alina rocks up, and she was like, "Oh, I just saw that the garage is closed, so Abby's definitely not there." And
nobody closes the door when they're in there, because it would be a safety hazard.
And so he rings. Seriously, is Kevin going to get in trouble for this?
It's almost as though he had arranged for an accident specifically to happen, and if he
was worried that she'd hop on the plane with them. It's like, I can't bear to be parted from you. I'm coming with you, twins. And Abby's like, and Ken's like, she's the hottest bird that I've had for years. I'm going to keep hold of her. I'm going to pin her down with that engine. Seb phones up Abby. No answer.
Can't believe she's not answering her phone.
Meanwhile, Peter, whose car is the one that Abby's been working on, is wondering...
Well, he's not getting that back today.
Where's my car? I'm going to knock on Tyrone's door and demand to know where it is. Tyrone's in the middle of having a lovely bubble bath with, what is it, lemon bath bomb or something like that?
I don't know.
That was one of my highlights of the week, actually. The little Nina scene that she had with Tyrone earlier in the episode, where he said, "Oh, I'm home alone today. I've got a day off." And she's like, "Oh, you're going to walk around the house naked?" And he's like, "No." And just the look, she gave absolutely perfect look, as if, "Oh, yeah, everybody does it, don't they?" I thought that was hilarious.
How can you stand to walk around naked?
Well, you did a poll on Twitter, didn't you? And I think
what was the answer?
People voted, "No, I don't walk around naked." But
quite a lot of people said they did.
It was about 60-40, I think. I don't...
Wow. You can't wear black if you're naked, can you, Nina?
Is that really a thing that people do? I just think it's uncomfortable.
It's uncomfortable and drafty.
I mean, anyway.
And also,
I don't want to talk
depending
about
on the
my
person,
about
unattractive.
nakedness. Well, nobody's there to look. He's not going to walk past the mirror and go, "Wah!"
I
and
would,
then fall down the
if it was
stairs.
me.
Alan
You've just
Halsall.
blown people's ears out.
Sorry, Alan Halsall. He's
Alan
he's
Halsall
buffed
probably
up,
walks
hasn't he?
around naked everywhere,
yeah. He's had
showing
to-
off his bod.
He's had to buff himself up for Tisha. He's all
I
right.
don't want to speculate as to his motivations.
Anyway, I'm lost.
Tyrone's
Peter's like, "Can I have my car back, please?" And Tyrone's like, "Just have the keys to the garage again."
Why does he think
flagrant
it's closed?
health and safety risk. Peter said, "I've just been over to
No,
the
I
garage
know,
across the road. It's
But
closed."
Tyrone shouldn't be like, yeah, just help yourself to your car. I assume it's fixed. Hopefully the engine's not on the floor.
He's too chilled out. So Peter goes over there, finds Abby with an engine on top of her, and phones an ambulance.
And he's like, is this some kind of method, or are you stuck?
Abby gets loaded into the ambulance on
Can
Friday.
I just say,
yes.
Sally Carmen was giving it 100% there. Very, very convincing performance. She was selling it, even though probably 99% of the people at home watching it were going, can you not just tip it over and free yourself?
I know.
She looked very distressed.
She did. She did give it her
She
all.
did a really
today.
good job. It's unfortunate that she was underneath an inflatable engine block.
She gets loaded into the ambulance. Phone's still ringing in the background. It's Seb, who then turns up later after seeing the twins off on their plane. He finds out, along with Kevin, from Tyrone, what's been going on with Abby. So they hot-foot it over there to Weatherfield General just in time for Abby to wake up, who is devastated to hear that Charlie and Lecter are now halfway across Russia.
I know, you're not going to get very far in an 82-hour journey in 4 hours.
No, they probably haven't even made it to...
They're probably not even at the airport,
No.
let's be frank.
No, but... I can't remember what they said. I don't know where the meeting point was supposed to be.
Think about how long it takes you from when you leave your house to get on the plane and take off. They're probably wandering around duty-free buying giant Toblerones going, this chocolate that Seb gave us is a load of old crap.
Yeah. Anyway, where's me mum? I was a bit confused earlier on in the week, and they probably said, and I didn't pay any attention to where the meeting was supposed to be, because I just assumed they were going to go to Social Services HQ, not that literally I'm going to wave you off as the plane flies away into the
I'm
distance.
only going to meet you in the
see
business
again.
lounge because they've got free alcohol.
Because if that's the case, then they're leaving it until the very last minute, and she deserves to not see them. Anyway.
I thought we liked Abby on this
I
show.
do like Abby.
But she makes mistakes.
Anyway, she's sad because she didn't get to see the twins.
Yes, she is sad.
She's later
She cries.
told that she can go home, isn't she? But she's not allowed any morphine because it's too addictive. Remember that, listeners,
You don't
viewers?
Surely everybody knows this.
But then she has a nice little scene with Seb, who seems to have forgiven her. It's like, I don't care, you only really got mad with her for a brief moment, so hooray, you're friends again. He also says, I understand. They really are going off to a better life. They've got a big swimming pool and a garden as big as the wreck. What more could any child need?
And he also says sometimes...
The love of a parent? No.
He says sometimes love just isn't enough.
Yeah.
And you need a massive pool in your garden. I thought this was really sad and crushing because it just... I don't think Seb realised how cruel he was being when he said that to her. That she couldn't provide these things. And really, children don't need swimming pools and massive gardens. They do just need their mum's love.
I think you're saddest for the twins because they're going to the land of giant spiders.
And drop bears.
Yeah.
And where people don't say goodbye, they say "see you later," which I didn't. I've never heard that phrase before. Have you?
We don't say that in this country. Yeah, I don't watch Neighbours or Home and Away.
Sorry,
so.
I don't speak Australian.
Anyway, he leaves her with this card, which is it's got the "see you later" letter, and it's quite nice, but. She needs to enunciate a little bit more clearly because we had to watch that scene 3 times and the subtitles were on the last scene.
She's giving it a good performance.
She was just blubbering a little bit too much to get the words out clearly. But anyway, we mock, but I think that she did do a good job.
Sally Carmen did an excellent job all the way through this.
She really, really did. It was just not the... This isn't really the way I wanted the story to go. Anyway, now...
I thought we were done. Honestly, I thought we were done with this. I am kind of bored. I'm glad the twins are in Australia,
now.
and I never want to hear from them again.
Well, the story's morphed into something else, hasn't it? Morphine. Yeah. Unfortunately for the poor nurse there, Sally Carman's fantastic acting only went to make his terrible delivery of that line even worse. I know I don't usually... you can. I don't need to that often.
Well, I did last week, didn't I?
You did. I think that guy who played the nurse, he just...
Maybe it was a real nurse.
He said, "Oh, you look like you're crying there. Do you need me to help you? Because I'm
busy.
trained in these things. Oh, there is an emergency happening
You're
in that
mean.
bed over there. Can you look after my drugs for me?
Don't let anybody take this morphine. I'll see you in a minute."
Yeah, at least
And don't worry, there's no record of what's in here. We don't check it off as we go.
It's not locked up or anything. There's just
no lock on it.
It's all handily labelled. This one here, the morphine, the one that just earlier on in the episode, one of my mates told you is very, very addictive.
It's got a sign on it.
Don't take that one.
It says on it, addictive, but ever so lovely.
And it says on your notes at the end of your bed here that you're an ex-drug addict. So definitely don't take it. I promise it's not as good as heroin.
Heroin's the best.
Yeah. But you know what? She takes it.
She grabs it.
Despite all those warnings. She goes and
She was warned.
snuffles it underneath her bed sheets, but not before Peter
turns
Barlow turns up and sees her.
Peter, keep your nose out of other people's addictions, will you? Last time, you were having a go at Yasmin. She's not even an alcoholic. How do you know that Abby is not going, "Oh, this morphine is dangerous. I better just take it so that nobody else does."
He's just left it on an unattended trolley. I'm just going to, hide
I better hide it so no smack addicts come along and get
Maybe
it.
that's what Peter did think, because then when Kevin showed up mere seconds later talking about Jack's PB...
peanut butter sandwich.
Peter doesn't say anything. The other PB, Peter Barlow, doesn't say anything.
Probably he's thinking, if I keep throwing my cards right, there's half a bottle of morphine in it for me.
Yeah, maybe. Because we know that Peter does have a history with addictions of his own.
Yum, yum, yum.
So maybe next week we will see Peter and Abby getting back to their fagging and shagging, which we all have fond memories of on the boat before it went up in flames.
Oh.
And that can be their nightcap.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
What a romance.
So, what do you think of this story?
I think I've said everything.
I was sad for the accident, just because of I don't know whether it was worse than the wedding or not this week.
It wasn't. I was
just looking at it and saying, just push off. I've never had an engine land on top of me.
I will say that
it didn't.
It was on her shoulder, and she should have been able to just kind of like rotate her body, but her arm was where it would have rolled to. But honestly, if I think I had the choice between being pinned under my body being pinned under an engine or my arm being pinned under an engine, I'd rather have my arm.
She could have tried to. Yeah.
She was moaning and groaning and huffing and puffing, and it looked like her reaction was as though an entire car was on her. So I've decided in my brain that it wasn't an engine; it was the whole car.
I need to see the twins.
But they couldn't do it because they for some reason coronavirus means that you can't pin women under cars anymore for entertainment.
I don't know. I just think it shows a total lack of commitment from Abby, because if she really wanted to see those twins, she'd have gone the whole 72 hours, saw the arm off to get over to that airport.
We know how long it takes to chop your arm off. We've all seen that film.
And what they could have done, because you know that Abby had some tattoos mysteriously appear recently, if they'd have just hold off on showing those for a little bit longer, they could have had Abby self-amputate, but then get a prosthetic arm or a donor arm with tattoos on it.
We're in a pandemic.
Explains that.
You can't be choosy. We've only got this arm.
Do you remember that episode of Red Dwarf when Rimmer is hologram projection whatever gets corrupted and he gets Peterson's arm with tattoos all over it and he ends up poking himself in the eye. So not the best accident, but I thought Sally did the best she could with not so great a scene, and it was far too foreshadowed, I think.
I didn't get it. I was like, I think she's going to miss her
maybe it was because
along.
I expected it to happen.
If you knew that she was going to end up in an accident, obviously you would know.
I'm not particularly looking forward this going down another drug addiction storyline, which it seems like it's going to be, and it doesn't feel like it's been very long since we had a Billy drug addiction storyline. Wouldn't it have been lovely to have had a scene, and I know they couldn't have done it, at the airport with her seeing the twins, having a really sad, heartfelt goodbye.
I never thought of this, but you're right, they couldn't have.
That would have been a
had that
lovely,
scene.
lovely scene. And I know that Sal would have pulled that off.
Oh, do you know what they
It would
could
have
have
been
done?
beautiful. I'd have
I
even
tell you,
accepted
listen.
a music montage.
Listen, what they could have done was flip it and have Seb have an accident, but he becomes our point of view character, and then we have Seb rush to the airport, gets there, and Abby like turns around and she's got tears in her eyes, and Seb says, "What happened?" And she says, "I said goodbye." You know, we could have him come up on her having just said goodbye because he was waylaid for some reason, and then we could have had a nice just assume. Or what we could do is get two adorable puppies and have them stand in for the twins, and they could blick in each other's faces.
I just feel like it would have been a really nice, feel-good ending.
It would have been. It would have been a
we'd
bit
have
like
seen that scene, and maybe
Betty on the Plane-esque.
Yeah, exactly. I was just thinking that. It's
But
one of these
no,
things where I
Michael.
think,
No,
was that ever the plan, and they had to change it?
no, it's drugs.
There's just too much.
Drugs, drugs. Time for more drugs.
It's just too. I'm gonna say it. Too dark.
How is she going to
gritty.
get the more... I don't understand about this. Is she going to lick it out of the tube? Because you have to inject it, don't you? Where's she going to... I suppose
She
if you're
literally
junkie,
just needs to ask
you know where
Billy
to
what
get.
he did, because it's only been 2-3
don't-
years since Billy
Michael.
also got addicted to medicine when he was horribly
This happens.
sent to hospital.
This happens.
It feels like it's a repeat.
It's like people are so predictable and they always have the same problems.
Next thing you know, she's going to be shooting up in the garage.
Do you think that she is... do you not think that Peter's not just going to go, "Oh, Kevin, can you go and get us some tea? Abby, put the bloody morphine back. They're going to come back any minute and find it's missing, you dozy mare." Do you think they don't keep track of morphine in a hospital when they know that you're a drug addict?
They might do, but they didn't have her take it for no reason. So even if that particular bottle of morphine she doesn't take away, I can completely see her going back home and self-medicating the old-fashioned way with a nice injection of heroin. Which, the idea of that story
I
just
don't want
does not
Abby
appeal
to
to
be
me.
a drug addict again.
I know.
It's realistic that she feels tempted, but...
Again, that could be a nice story of overcoming temptation.
But is it no, because it will just be like, put it back then. Well, that was a good cliffhanger.
Well, no, but she could still, be going off
No,
getting more...
Peter, I'm going to drink it.
What's the street name for heroin?
I don't know.
Skank? Or was that the other one? Smack?
Or what did they say? Angel dust. That's a good one.
Is that heroin? I don't know.
No,
Kind
it's
of
not
interesting.
heroin.
Kind of interesting.
Heroin's
how,
old school. Nobody does heroin anymore.
Kind of interesting how Peter's involved in this storyline.
She should
Because
try
he
cocaine.
does his AA meeting, and he's supposed to be good with helping people to not be addicts anymore. B, because Abby and Peter have got a bit of a romantic history, and that could be rekindled with this. I don't know. Again, I do not want to see that, but it could. And C, and this is something that I read somebody else saying on the internet, this isn't my original idea, but I think it's a bloody good one. Peter is also one half an abandoned twin, because when he was a little boy, he and his sister were abandoned by Ken, who left them in Scotland and went away. And I
Just like
wonder
Australia.
whether Peter will now say to Abby, well, me and Susan turned out all right. Well, I did.
Susan's dead now,
Susan's
but I'm sure Lexi will be fine.
I'm sure she's not going to get hit by a car in
Nothing-
Australia. That never happens
that
to
never
any
happens.
Coronation Street characters ever. Oh, my poor
Oops.
uncle. Maybe I was trying to remember the Barlow family tree there. Kind of
honestly,
interesting
though,
having him in the story.
Very good points that you raised there. But as usual, my aversion to Peter and his preachy ways would mean as soon as I saw Peter come around the corner, giving me that judgmental look in his eye, I think I would have grabbed everything else on the train, tried to end it all.
Also, are we going to see a return of dodgy Scots lady who came and harassed Carla in the pub a month and a half ago
Why?
to get some drugs?
No, I don't want more drugs. No.
I really, Corrie,
What
Don't want a drug
things do
addiction
other people
storyline.
get addicted to? Can't we have one of these people that was on
Coronation
like
Street,
that ruined your life? Can't we have one of these
the
people?
silent killer.
It's not very silent. You know, like these programs where they have these strange addictions, like women who like lick ashtrays or drink bleach or something? Can't we have something interesting?
I just don't want an addiction storyline. They've been done to death.
Literally.
Honestly, I do not want it.
I know, but the thing is, they are important. They are things that happen to people. But, and I hate to say this because I'm trying really hard not to compare current Corrie to past Corrie, because I always used to get kind of frustrated.
You've become one of those people.
But I have become one of those people, because Coronation Street went for decades without having storylines about people addicted to things, and now we can't go 3 years without having somebody injecting hard drugs in a church. You can't. The thing is, you can't get more bombastic, or what's the word I'm thinking of, outrageous, than a vicar shooting up in a church. We've gone as far as we can go with drugs and addiction.
Yeah.
You can't shock me with it, so why bother?
That's true, actually. They do it for the short-term sensation.
But the other thing I will say is that I think they've handled Peter quite well, because he's continually tempted by drinking, and he always manages to overcome it. And I think that is, I mean, some people would argue against this, because they say, there are people that say that it portrays continuous addiction, and other people will say you're always addicted, you're always an alcoholic, etc. I know there are different schools of thought, but Peter's obviously of the school of thought that he is an alcoholic forever more, and so it's true to his character. But I think it's a positive message to say, yes, you will be tempted, but you can be strong and not do it, and there will be times that you want to, and there may even be times when you do it, and then you just go, right, I'm starting again from zero, and that's what Peter does. And I really hope that somewhere somebody's written down, no matter what you do, Peter Barlow will never become an alcoholic again, because we want to give a positive message, and we don't want him to go back to that place. But I want them to just rub it out and go, no one will be an addict on Coronation Street again, and then in brackets, because it's really boring now.
Abby's shown such strength as a character as well in recent years.
And it's annoying to me, because it's not like she's got nothing to live for, because she gave the twins not one thought before they moved to Australia. I know we're supposed to think that she was thinking of them every day. But literally, she never mentioned him before. She's got a job, a boyfriend. She's reconciled with her son. She's living with her partner, and she's got a good relationship with his son. She's got everything except that she didn't get to say goodbye to the twins. And they wrote her a lovely card and said, "No hard feelings, Mum." Stick another shrimp on the barbie, as they say in Australia, when they mean to say goodbye. You know what I mean? Like, we'll see you later.
Do you think...
Let's now drink a bottle of morphine.
Do you think that Jack is on any medication? I don't know whether you need medication if you have a prosthetic leg.
Probably need to take morphine. Do you think the doctor's like, look, I know it sucks, you've got no leg, but here you go. Here's some lovely morphine.
I don't know, maybe. I mean, so maybe she could steal from him.
Maybe somebody will have a horrible accident. Who's on drugs?
They're pretty all on drugs. They've all got one condition or another, don't they? Anyway.
Can you get any joy out of...
MS medicine?
Anti-kidney rejection medicine? Because that's the plenty. There's that everywhere.
Yeah.
What about that stuff that you can take to drink milk that Amy's obviously on?
Yeah, and David's epilepsy medicine.
I bet if you mix them all together, they'd be awfully fun. Why not try? Give it a go.
Come on, let's move on to the next story.
When it comes to drugs, my motto is, give it a go.
Gemma, that's
awful.
Not
true. That's not true.
Don't listen.
What's the worst that can happen?
You know we're only joking. Vanessa.
Do you have to legally say that?
Yes.
I hope nobody's listening that thinks that's a good idea, because it's bad. That's what we say, isn't it?
Yes, drugs are bad. I've never had drugs.
Neither have I.
Good.
Well, I'm glad we cleared that up. Right, am I reading this one out?
You are doing the Gemma story, Gemma.
Okay, right, so don't forget
your name on it.
That last week, Vanessa had been told where to go by Bernie, who met up with her in Victoria Gardens. It's a good job they cleared out of there, because that was needed for a drop-off point. And Vanessa had been trying to get closer to Gemma because she's very sad because her husband is a pig. On Monday, Bernie comes in having just told Vanessa to do one, and she tells Gemma, And Gemma's annoyed because Vanessa's not mean anymore. She's really nice and fun. And I still don't know if we're supposed to think that Vanessa's really nice and fun or just a big fat user.
I still think there might be.
What do you think maybe what?
I think maybe she is nice. I'm giving her the benefit of a doubt.
I think she's boring. She's not nice, she's just boring. She's not even imaginative enough. She needs Imogen. Her personality doesn't exist unless she's with somebody else.
No, I'm not bothered by her, by the way. She's okay.
Right, so Bernie says, Vanessa's changed, and also, Bernie, you can shut up because you've been given so many second chances. Bernie says, I don't care, I'm family, you can't compare the two, and Gemma storms off. And then they meet up anyway. What was the whole point? I don't really know. Because Vanessa and Gemma have a meeting in the gardens because Gemma has got a phone. She hasn't left it in a bag by the canal. She can send messages to people. She doesn't have to write it out in a letter.
Yes.
So they meet up and she goes on about the fact that she is going to have her birthday with Paul, her twin. And then as children, they idolised the famous British twins, PJ and Duncan.
I don't think they're actually related.
And she was going to get an autograph of them. And
does everybody know that PJ and Duncan are Ant and Dec? I don't know whether... I think we might need to
PJ and Duncan
that.
were the rap names of famous British TV presenting duo Ant and Dec.
Golden Boys.
And if you don't think you know who they are, but you have seen Love Actually... You do know who they are because they made a very small appearance.
Oh, the great scene.
When the best joke of all time by Bill Nye was uttered. And you really
Speaking of drugs.
won't understand the joke if you don't know who Ant and Dec are. And I won't say the joke because you need to see them to get it. And PJ and Duncan in the 90s, I think, they had their rap career. And they were also in
Biker Grove. And then they turned into Ant and Dec.
And everybody loves them.
And now they win every award going.
Every bloody award.
Every national television award. So how many years? 15 years? They've won best entertainers or something?
The best cheeky presenting duo award goes to Ant and Dec.
Yeah. So
and
they're very
I
famous.
refuse to believe that they are named the way they are because Dec is the big one and Ant is the small one because his name is Ant because he's small. And Dec is called Dec because he has a big forehead like a deck. And that's how I get the names the right way round.
You're wrong.
So anyway, Gemma, being a child of the 90s, along with her brother Paul, obviously idolised PJ and Duncan. She swears it's for Paul's birthday, but I'm going to suggest that it's secretly for her. Anyway, she was trying to win it on eBay and she just missed out. Apparently these things are rare as hen's teeth. She'll never get another chance to buy this. Gemma goes home and says that... she is 100% beaver.
100%? No, you're just misreading my notes. She's got a brilliant idea. And that word that says beaver is supposed to say never. Her new idea, which nobody has ever thought of before, is how about I set up an online mum and baby group?
What would you call that, Michael?
If I was on Dragon's Den, I'd be giving her £1 million for this.
No, but if you were to create an online place for mums to talk...
What on the net?
What would you call it?
I don't know.
And
Mother's Web.
Bernie says, don't take on too much too soon. And she also probably said, but they cut it out, don't try to reinvent the wheel. I think mothers have existed in the world and navigated their particular problems before you came along with 4 babies.
Yeah.
It is really infuriating. I bet mums get this all the time though. When somebody comes in with their first baby and tries to tell you everything that you're doing wrong with your baby because they've read a book about it and their baby sleeps through the night and why doesn't yours? It must be your fault. Have you tried feeding it?
What I don't get is if Gemma is such an internet pioneer, why was she unable to use Google to find the names of some famous twins earlier in the week? Because she said she could only think of one set of famous twins. I might not be able to name...
What?
That's what she said at the end of the week, wasn't it? For their twin party. She was like, I was going to make it a twin party, but I couldn't think of any famous twins, so it's now about double acts. Weren't you listening?
No. Now I'm in thought. What famous twins are there?
I said Jedward.
Oh, Jedward. What a national treasure.
Oh, yes, Cheeky Girls, she said, didn't she? She went for Cheeky Girls. But anyway, I'm saying...
I'm actually surprised that she didn't want to get Jedward's autograph. And I tell you what, the biggest travesty of this whole storyline is that if we didn't have coronavirus, we might even have had a special appearance by Ant and Dec to give Paul their signature in person.
Yeah.
But that will never
anyway,
happen
I'm
now.
saying I might not be able to come up with many famous twins off the cuff, but if I was an internet genius like Gemma, I might think of Googling it rather than just changing the theme of the party.
But listen, we're not giving Gemma enough credit here. I think that Weatherfield has been firmly established as a place that exists outside the current accepted internet universe that we live with. Like, they probably don't have PayPal. They probably don't have Wikipedia. She could invent all of these things.
Yeah.
She could be sitting on a gold mine here. They don't have Google, they have Voggle.
Yeah.
They don't have Facebook, they have FriendFace.
No, that's the IT crowd.
They don't have...
Friend
They
Connect.
don't have
Friend Connect.
Gucci, they have Muleface.
They don't have Gucci, they just have Gucci.
Right, anyway, yeah, Bernie
We've gone off
says...
piste again,
Bernie
Gemma.
says, don't worry about it, Gemma, because those things already exist. You don't need to do it yourself. So on Wednesday...
But she does it anyway.
She does it anyway because she's a willful child. On Wednesday, Billy tells Paul that he's got him a new board game for his 30th next week. And Paul says...
He says that's a rubbish idea, mate.
What I get, Paul obviously does not know that board games have moved well beyond Monopoly into a whole new world of excitement that he
Like
can't
Twiglet
even...
Jenga? Has anyone heard of that one?
Yeah. Have you heard of counting how many eyes are on your Ben Shepherd cardigan? Because that's also a fun thing to do at home. Billy calls somebody and says the chicken is in the coop, and it sounds like there's a secret birthday surprise afoot.
Okay, so I don't think it was completely obvious in that scene who he was talking to.
No.
Now, the synopsis for the episode says it was Gemma, but I think I missed, and I think I did watch that scene twice. They didn't make it really, really obvious at all that he was speaking to Gemma. Also, whoever it is, if literally your phone's ringing, you're sitting there, you know, doing your whatever, doing your vlogging or whatever, your phone rings and it's the vicar and like, hello, the chicken's in the coop and he doesn't suspect. Boom, phone down. He's like, what?
Also, what kind of secret message is that? The chicken is in the coop and he doesn't suspect we're throwing him a secret surprise party.
Yeah, anyway. Gemma, who is obviously genius of the street, understands exactly what Billy means by this cryptic message.
Maybe they have prearranged that he would say this. Why didn't they have something more themed?
Billy was the one, I mean, Paul was the one that brought up the conversation of the party anyway.
Don't question this stupidity because you'll only drive yourself insane. My question is, why is Paul the one who's having a surprise party when his sister is battling postnatal depression, dealing with four babies, one adopted child and an idiot boyfriend?
Yeah, well, Paul came face to face with his abuser last year and that was actually a very harrowing time for him.
I can't believe that everybody else is letting Gemma organise this party when she's already continuously told everybody that she cannot cope. Do you think they're like, well, she's got time for vlogging, she got time to organise a party? I just don't feel sympathy for her anymore. Now she's spending a lot of time on the internet,
Gemma
going
wants
on eBay.
to do the party.
What is Paul getting Gemma for? She's put so much more thought into this than Paul has. Paul's just worried about why Billy's skulking around with canal bags.
Finding better ideas to do than board games with the vicar.
I can think of worse things to do in my life. So anyway, Gemma set up a virtual mums group, and I'm surprised they didn't think of a snappy name for it, like Mum Chat or Chat Mums or something.
I'm trying to think of something, but nothing's coming to me. It just set it up like this, you know. It's just suggested
All
like, on
she's
Monday's
done-
episode. By Wednesday, she's already done it.
All she's done is set up a Zoom call with other women who have children.
Yes, that's all it is.
Let's not give her too much credit here. Vanessa, she basically is hosting this as well.
Mm.
Why?
We have to see the
I'm just sick
painful
of this.
scene where we had to see her saying goodbye to all the people
Individually.
as well. No?
Bye. Just kill me. I'm sick of this. I'm sick of Gemma being a character who is using her one session of counselling to help every single other frazzled mother in the entire Weatherfield area with her newfound knowledge. It's so patronising and irritating. Vanessa's like, oh, you've done a good job. Thank you for helping me overcome my loneliness because nobody's invented Facebook.
Yeah, we've just been going through this pandemic, and my character definitely has, because I mentioned it last week. I have been in lockdown,
And even
but I
though-
didn't know how Zoom worked.
Even though I was on Zoom with you last week, I didn't know I could add more than one person at a time.
Yeah,
You're a
I wondered what that
genius.
little button with the person and the plus next to it meant.
Your relentless working class enthusiasm for life has rejuvenated me. And also, I've got news about your PJ and Duncan autograph.
Oh yes, because she very handily
I know
is
someone.
knows somebody who's able to get hold of one of these CDs that's rarer than hen's teeth.
PJ and Duncan autograph, you say? I happen to know PJ and Duncan.
We all know each other up north.
That's not what she said. She said she knew somebody who worked in some memorabilia thing.
Yes.
Can you just imagine
It's
Vanessa coming up to her and going, "Oh, I need a PJ and Duncan autographed CD. Please take this for free. I've got 50 of them and I can't ship them." So that was no problem. That's sorted out. I'm glad that they didn't leave us hanging on that, because you know how Coronation Street sometimes likes to leave us in suspense, and I was worried that she wouldn't be able to secure it in time for Paul's birthday, but it looks like you don't need to worry about it.
Okay.
Paul invites Gemma to theirs for what sounds like the worst idea for a lockdown party: karaoke and dance mat.
That sounds brilliant.
During coronavirus.
Gemma said, Gemma actually pointed out, didn't she? She said, that sounds a bit anti-lockdown to me. And Paul's like, no, it's fine.
Don't worry about it.
Singing you're not really supposed to do.
Don't sing and don't flail your arms around.
Although I did see an article on the BBC website yesterday, I think, the news website yesterday, saying that singing is no worse than speaking very loudly.
Well, don't do either.
So I think if Fred Elliott was still around, he'd be in trouble.
Singing is no different from shouting loudly or licking people's faces, so why don't you do all of them?
Face licking party.
Coronavirus face licking party. Oh, I'm in. Shall I bring nibbles? Shall I bring my Twiglet Jenga?
Bring nibbles, and then we'll empty the bowl, and all the dust that's left at the bottom of the bowl, I'll sprinkle it all over your face and I'll just lick it right off.
Let's not get crazy, Michael. She says, I don't feel like celebrating now because we're not teenagers anymore.
She's acting like she thinks this is a rubbish idea. I don't want a party with you. And I saw quite a few people online saying, why is Gemma being such a stick in the mud about it? But
she was trying.
She's obviously,
She was doing this stupid thing where somebody.
What, Gemma?
Somebody organises a secret party, and then somebody else comes up with a better idea for a party and invites them, and they say, no, I don't want to go.
Yeah.
At this point, why don't you just go, oh, Paul, we had a secret surprise party organised for you, but actually karaoke and dance mat sounds way better than what I had.
I don't really get what
Which
Gemma's
is listening
parties...
to PJ and Duncan.
Gemma's party that we hear a bit about on Friday, I don't know. She
What
wanted
is
to
it?
make it twin themed, didn't she? She was going to get a pair of gold phones like Posh and Bex have, apparently. And I can't remember what else.
You know what's
She needs that Coronation Street double act jigsaw that we spent 7 hours on our holiday making.
That will
we could
eat
send
into
that to them.
that party time, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Oh, wouldn't it be great if they could have everybody come to the party on Monday dressed as classic Coronation Street double acts? Or the people, like Rita
My
could
metal
invite
detector's
Mavis
going
along
off.
to it.
On Friday, Paul comes and tells Bernie that Gemma seems really sad and she doesn't even want to have a birthday party. Should we speak to the doctor? And this is like really mean. This is an example of how the script doesn't really work, because
You're slating this week's episode.
because the thing is, Gemma's got postnatal depression, and now she's made Paul think that she's sad about her birthday to the extent that he's worried that she needs medical intervention. This is not how to make somebody excited for a surprise party or put them off the scent. You don't go, no, Paul, I want to stay at home and think about how my life has no meaning. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway, so Bernie's like, don't, I'll talk to her, or Kathy will.
I've
Don't
got
worry
a
about
doctorate
it.
from the University of Life.
Whatever's wrong with her, I'll be able to sort it out.
Sort Carla on it. She's the new therapist of the street.
Have you tried not being sad? Have you tried going to one session of counselling? So Gemma reveals her plans.
Only there is a trained counsellor on the street with nothing to do at the moment.
She's got her own troubles. Let's not bother her. Gemma says, my plan for the double act, this is my plan. Kathy and Bernie, my plan is to have a double act theme party and to also make Paul think I'm depressed and that I don't want to do karaoke.
Yeah.
Because that's an intrinsic part. I'm not going to do twins because I can't think of any famous ones. and everyone else, and then it's like they've got a secret party. They do, don't they? They've got a secret party planned.
Who?
Well, they must do, because they're like, no, I can't afford that. I can't help you, so you're gonna have to scale it back. Who's planning a party?
I thought it was just Gemma and Billy. I don't know how much Billy's in on this party.
Well, he's not
Do you
in
think
it.
that Billy's planning a party with Kathy and Bernie, and Gemma's planning her own surprise party?
And
Paul
Paul's
wants
just going,
to plan his own
Paul's
dance
just
mat
going,
and
can we
karaoke
just have a
party?
normal party where everybody knows that they're going to a party? Can I just also point out the stupidity of one twin trying to organise a surprise party for the other twin?
Oh, it's like the Vicar of Dibley Christmas special. You know, all the Christmas lunches, and they're going to be going around all the parties.
Because I wasn't really paying attention, because I was trying to do a tweet. But they were saying
that sounds really expensive.
That's too expensive.
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of double acts they thought that she was gonna have. Did she think that they were Did they think that she was actually saying, I want to hire the cheeky girls and PJ and Duncan to come to this party? Or was she trying to say, I'm just going to print out some pictures and stick them on lollipop sticks?
I'm not sure. But no, they said that sounds very expensive, but no, we're not actually going to pay for it, which I thought sounded pretty mean, unless you're right, they are planning some surprise party of their own.
Is this just a double hijink surprise? Everybody's surprising each other?
Maybe it is. I'm sure they'll have a jolly time anyway until it gets revealed that Billy's actually looking out for his old ex-lover, and Paul's going to leave the thing sad, and then maybe one of the quads will be sick over Gemma.
Yeah. Are they going to plan these secret surprise parties in separate places and spend the whole day waiting for each other to walk in? Or are they going to organise it all in the same place and be annoyed when they keep finding balloons where they hadn't put balloons?
That reminds me, the other thing that was in the synopsis for Monday's episode that didn't happen in it was that Billy tells Paul that he can't come to a birthday party next week because he's got some online church thing that he has to go to.
So it does
but
seem
he
like...
doesn't say that in the episode.
So it does seem as though everybody's organising a surprise secret party.
I don't know.
Never organise a surprise secret party for anybody. Because, here is my reasoning. Number one, the people that love parties are already planning their own party, and they don't need you to tell them that they're not going to have a party to make them enjoy the party more.
You love planning your own birthday parties.
Number two, if you're the sort of person who doesn't like parties and is not going to plan a surprise party for yourself, you ain't going to want a surprise party. Because a surprise party is like double party. If you don't even care enough to make your own party, you ain't going to want a surprise party.
But Gemma and Paul both like parties, especially Gemma. She's a proper party animal.
Here's
Remember the
my
rave
question.
up she had at number 5 last year?
Yeah, I do.
With the smoke machine and everything.
This party is going to be a disaster because it's going to be everybody standing in separate corners to each other, awkwardly laughing about all the hilarious double acts that Gemma ends up thinking of, which are going to be really annoying random references to people that are slightly crap. Here's my question. Are surprise parties a secret television and movie conspiracy that only ever happen in fiction? Has anybody ever done a surprise party or gone to a surprise party or had a surprise party organised for them? Because I'm starting to think that this is a big myth that never actually happens.
You're just gutted that nobody's ever made a surprise party for you.
You can't organise a surprise party for me because I find out. And if you do organise one and I don't find out, I'll just get angry at everybody for lying to me.
Gemma would totally get angry. If anybody was to arrange a surprise party for Gemma, she would be so angry. She wouldn't be angry at the time. No. She'd wait until it was over and then be mad at me.
What an amazing
I would bear the brunt of this.
I'm so happy. Thanks,
even
everyone.
if I was nothing to do with organising it.
Can I speak to you in the kitchen? I'll be back in a minute, everyone. Thanks for coming.
So I'm grateful. Let's
I don't
finish
like
this
lying
off.
and sneaking about. That would be the ultimate betrayal. Just have a party. How can a surprise party be any better than a party that you get to look forward to? Also, you couldn't have a surprise party with me because you could never guarantee when I've had a meal last. I could have just eaten. I want to enjoy my sandwiches.
You need to have an empty belly, do you, before your party?
No point otherwise.
Right. What else happened in Coronation Street this week? Well, let me tell you. Tim and Sally have gone off to visit Gina because Tim's deciding to stick with his wife now, and that's about it really. And Jeff is like, "Rrr."
Oh no, yeah, because he basically says to Jeff, "Stop it, Dad. I'm sick of this. Don't play the martyr," doesn't he?
Yes.
I thought you decided not to read the synopsis, or have you?
I know, that's pretty much all that happened, really. They've just buggered off and the storyline's been put on hold, which, to be honest, I was quite pleased with, because as I was saying last week, I'm getting a little bit strung out. I don't need this storyline at the moment. I don't need this storyline without Yasmin or Elaine. So they're going away for a bit and to form a bubble with Gina. Did they say that on the show, or did I get that from the synopsis as well? I don't know, but that's where they are. And we didn't even get to see Faye this week, so the whole thing about Faye finding out about how nasty Jeff is last week didn't particularly come to me.
But Sally told him
yeah.
that Faye knows what Jeff's like now.
Yeah. So, has Tim come over to Sally's side at last? I don't know, but I'm sure that by the time they get back from wherever Gina lives, I'll have forgotten about what's been going on.
I'm sure they will remind us in a very clumsy manner when they return.
They don't always. Right. That was it for this week's Coronation Street, everybody. And honestly, as much as I've slated various bits of it and really, really nitpicked some things that Coronation Street maybe didn't have that much control over because there is a pandemic going on, don't you know, I still didn't think it was that bad. I gave last week's 2, I think, out of 5. And I think this week's is better.
My main problem at the moment with Coronation Street is a lack of internal logic in the scripts and how characters are reacting and things that people are saying. Just feels like nobody's thought about how human beings think about things.
Oh, I'm sure they have, though. They thought
everything's just gone a bit wrong. Everything's gone a bit wrong.
It's just a bad patch. It will come out of it.
I always panic when this happens.
Honestly, I think that if they ease off on the comedy, on the Todd story, that could be decent next week. I'm sure... I'd like to think that the Gemma and Paul storyline could be nice and have nice party stuff. I am not too fussed about the Gary and Maria, but again, that storyline could be put on hold for now, couldn't it? Well, they're on honeymoon at least. I don't need to see Adam almost reconciling with Sarah again. Honestly, he just needs to go to the bloody police station himself if he's that worried about Gary being sent down.
Because now he's split up with Sarah.
Daniel's storyline I'm looking forward to.
Now he's split up with Sarah, what is stopping him from just going to the police and going, oh, there's been a murder? What's he care?
Does he have any lingering feelings for Sarah?
But if he does have lingering...
I'm just surprised about how he seems completely emotionless about the fact that his marriage is broken down.
He's just like, well, I'm done.
It's the theme of this marriage. But
I feel exactly the same way about this marriage as I did when we got married. I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
I just wanted to get married for the day. That's all I wanted, Sarah. I wanted to feel beautiful for one day.
I am going to be giving this week's Coronation Street 3 remorseful little outs out of 5 because I thought it was okay, not terrible, obviously not amazing, and I wanted to give a shout out to that little out who saw the error of his ways and picked up that drinks bottle and put it in the bin, crisps can, after Bernie shouted at him.
Can.
He didn't have a go at her. He didn't say, stuff you, Bernie. He said...
Mary. It was Mary.
Mary, I'm so sorry.
I do apologise.
I'm going to put it in the bin.
I didn't see this receptacle.
Yes. I think he just said, I was expecting a group of teenagers in fluorescent yellow jackets to come and pick this up for me. Because don't they do this round here?
Last time I was there, somebody just took it away.
Yeah. Well, the last time...
In real life, you go... F you, blah, blah, blah.
I think they've given up on that scheme. So the last time they tried it, it ended up in a fight and Addy was beating up that person and calling his sister a slag.
Because he was just on the floor.
What are you giving this week out of 5?
I'm giving this 2.5
Ooh.
cockroaches living in your ear since 2010. And I think this was a secret cry for help from the scriptwriter who has had a little voice in their ear since 2010 telling them things that actually turn out to be really crap when you write them down in a script.
Oh, don't be so mean. It's not that bad. Honestly,
I couldn't do this job. This is so difficult. I wouldn't know how to do this. But I can still watch it and go, this didn't work out very well, did it? For all the reasons that I've just spent an hour and 40 minutes explaining.
It was not that bad. And I am giving them a whole leeway because of COVID. And I know we're like 4 weeks into that now.
Don't even try to do something if you know you can't do it.
I think well done. This is why I don't. Hard this week.
That's my motto, and that's why I don't have kids because that's what would be to them.
And the other criticism I've got
don't even try. Don't even try. Don't bother.
I just want to say what I said to you earlier about I'm glad that they've got more Jenny at the moment, but I still want more because it literally could be anyone delivering Jenny's lines at the moment. It's sad to say. I'm not getting much Jenny out of it.
Again, it's because the stories are plot-driven and not character-driven.
Yeah. Sad.
And they need to...
Who's your character of the week?
The cockroach.
The cockroach living in the ear of the person who wrote the magazine article that Bernie was reading. Come on.
I tell you what, that was a more interesting story than anything else that happened this week.
No, it wasn't.
I know, I'm being a bitch. I know.
Yeah.
Mark, little out.
No.
Because he had a story arc, he had a character arc. He started off, he
saw the error of his ways, didn't
he
he?
threw that rubbish on the floor and he knew that he didn't want it anymore, right? He had a problem. So he threw the rubbish on the floor, he thought he'd solved his problem, yeah? Then he hears a woman screaming at him from across the road. Shock, anger, confusion. Then he realised that he could solve his problem instantly by picking the rubbish up and putting it in the bin. And unlike any other Coronation Street character, he actually did that, solved his own problem, and then he went off on his merry way.
He didn't agonise about it.
He didn't worry about it
for weeks. He didn't have any cliffhangers.
He saw the solution to his problem clearly in front of his face. He took advice and he achieved a goal and helped save the planet.
So you're not going to give it to Abby this week, then?
I think I'm going to give it to Abby. or the engine block. Or the nurse. He's like, here's the tray of drugs. I must go. Someone's dying.
Don't think. Oh gosh, who can I give it to this week? I'm kind of I'm going between Abby and Daniel at the moment.
I bet you there are loads of people who work in the NHS or in the medical field who were watching that scene, screaming at the TV because there is no way this would happen.
I'm sure there's people working in the NHS that go, see, it happens all the time, and I've been told off about it.
Not my fault.
I've been laid off because I did it, but look, there's a guy doing it on the TV.
And then there's a load of people at home going, look, see what I told you about the engine landing on me? Well, my fault I couldn't move and go to see the twins off to Australia.
I'm going to give it to Abby too.
Yeah.
Right.
Great performance from Sally
That's it for Street Talk.